I had always believed that the rich and famous lived in a world far beyond ours, untouchable and distant. That belief shattered the day I saw Johnny Depp humiliated right before my eyes. It happened at an upscale car dealership in Beverly Hills. I was there with my best friend, Laura, who had recently landed a big promotion and wanted to treat herself to a luxury car. The showroom sparkled with gleaming sports cars, and the air smelled of expensive leather and polished metal. Salesmen in tailored suits hovered around wealthy clients, eager to close million-dollar deals. As Laura excitedly examined a sleek black Aston Martin, I noticed a man walking in, dressed in a worn-out leather jacket, tattered jeans, and a beanie pulled low over his eyes. He carried himself with quiet confidence, but there was something oddly familiar about him. The salesman at the front desk barely glanced at him. Instead, he sneered. "Sir, this is a high-end dealership. We don't entertain." The man took off his sunglasses and my breath caught in my throat. Johnny Depp. The Johnny Depp. The man who had captivated the world with his performances, who had once been Hollywood's golden boy. But the salesman didn't seem to care. "I don't know who you think you are, but we have real customers to attend to." His voice dripped with condescension. I expected Johnny to lash out, to demand respect. Instead, he simply smiled, slow and knowing. "I was thinking about buying a car," he said, his voice calm but firm. The salesman chuckled. "Right, maybe try the used car lot down the street." A few people in the showroom turned to look. I felt my heart pound with anger. This was humiliating. And yet, Johnny didn't argue. He simply nodded, put his sunglasses back on, and walked out without another word. But something about the way he left made me shiver. It wasn't defeat. It was something else, something dangerous. I had no idea then, but I was about to witness the sweetest revenge in history. Days passed, and I couldn't shake off the image of Johnny Depp walking out of that dealership, his head held high despite the blatant disrespect. I couldn't understand why he hadn't retaliated. Didn't he deserve better? Didn't he deserve to be treated with respect, just like anyone else? I had tried to push the incident to the back of my mind. Life moved on. Laura got her new car, and I focused on my job. But that day stuck with me. I couldn't stop thinking about how quickly people judged Johnny, how they assumed he was just another man with no money to spend. They didn't know who he was, or the quiet storm brewing inside him. Then, just when I thought the matter was forgotten, something incredible happened. I was walking to my car after work one evening, when I noticed a familiar face standing outside a building. My heart skipped a beat. It was Johnny Depp. He wasn't alone this time. He was with a tall man in a suit, someone who seemed to be an advisor or manager. Johnny stood in front of the same luxury car dealership where he'd been turned away, but this time, he wasn't looking angry or upset. He looked calm, too calm. I paused, unable to look away. There was something different about him, like he had a plan. The salesman from before, the one who had treated him like an outsider, was standing near the entrance. He greeted Johnny with a stiff smile, clearly trying to act like nothing had happened. But Johnny didn't even acknowledge him. Instead, he turned to the manager and said something I couldn't hear. I didn't know what was going on, but I could feel it. Something was about to change. Later that evening, the dealership announced a surprise. Johnny Depp had just made a massive purchase, a fleet of luxury cars, all of the most expensive models. And as part of the deal, he had negotiated something even bigger. He was suing the dealership for defamation and discrimination. The press went wild. But what struck me the most was the way Johnny remained out of the spotlight. He wasn't trying to prove a point. He was just letting the storm swirl around him. And then I heard it. The dealer's side of the story. They claimed Johnny had come in, not to buy, but to mock them. They accused him of trying to make them look bad. But Johnny's next move would make everything they said fall apart. The news hit like a storm. The car dealership, once considered one of the finest in Beverly Hills, was now under fire. Johnny Depp wasn't just suing them for defamation. He was revealing what had happened behind the scenes. And it was worse than anyone could have imagined. It turned out that Johnny wasn't the first celebrity to have been treated with disdain by the dealership. There were rumors, whispers of other famous names being snubbed, humiliated, or outright ignored when they tried to make a purchase. Johnny's legal team released a statement, detailing the discrimination they had faced not just from the salesman, but from the dealership's higher-ups. They had seen the famous face, assumed he couldn't afford their luxury cars, and dismissed him without a second thought. The public was furious. How could a high-end dealership, known for catering to the wealthy elite, treat its potential clients this way? The scandal spread like wildfire. But what really caught my attention was something Johnny did next. He didn't just stop at the lawsuit. He contacted other celebrities, using his network to quietly encourage them to speak out. Slowly, other famous names began to step forward, sharing their stories of similar treatment. The dealership was getting attacked from all sides. I watched in awe as Johnny, the man who had been shunned so publicly, turned the tables and exposed the truth. It wasn't just about the money or the cars, it was about dignity, respect, and the principle of not letting people walk all over you, even when you were treated like an outcast. And then, the final twist came. The dealership, desperate to save face, tried to make an apology. They offered Johnny a brand new, custom-made car, something they claimed no one had ever seen before. It was their way of showing contrition, of trying to make it right. But Johnny, ever the master of timing, turned them down cold. In a press conference, he simply smiled and said, "You can keep your car. What I want is for you to treat everyone, famous or not, with respect. That's the real luxury." It was over. The dealership folded under the weight of its own arrogance, and Johnny's victory was sweet. I remember watching it all unfold from my couch, a mixture of admiration and disbelief in my chest. Johnny Depp had done what most people only dreamed of. He had stood up, not just for himself, but for everyone who had ever been underestimated or dismissed. And somehow, through it all, he remained the humble man who had walked out of that dealership with nothing but a smile. He didn't need to say much. His actions had spoken louder than words ever could. Johnny's victory wasn't just a win for him. It became a movement, a symbol of what happens when someone refuses to be underestimated. People started to talk. Everywhere I went, from coffee shops to newsrooms, I overheard conversations about the car dealership scandal. But it wasn't just about the lawsuit anymore. It was about respect. It was about how we, as a society, treat others based on assumptions, without knowing their worth. The ripple effect stretched far beyond Beverly Hills. Celebrities, public figures, and even everyday people started sharing their own stories of being overlooked, judged, or mistreated. Johnny had opened the floodgates. And just when I thought it couldn't get any more impactful, something incredible happened. I was invited to a charity event at a local gala, hosted by none other than Johnny Depp himself. I still couldn't believe it. The man who had become a symbol of standing up for what's right had invited me, an ordinary woman, to be part of something extraordinary. As I walked into the grand ballroom, I saw Johnny standing by the stage, greeting guests. He wasn't surrounded by a wall of bodyguards or flashy entourages. He was alone, speaking to people like they were old friends. He wasn't the Hollywood icon everyone knew. In that moment, he was just a man who cared deeply about making a difference. I had the chance to speak with him briefly, and I'll never forget his words. He told me, "It's not about the cars, the fame, or the money. It's about remembering that we're all human. We all deserve the same respect, no matter who we are." And in that moment, I understood what he meant. Johnny hadn't just taken down a luxury dealership. He had shown the world that real power doesn't come from wealth or status. It comes from knowing your worth and never backing down when others try to tear you down. But the most incredible part of all was how Johnny used his newfound platform. The charity event was a success, raising millions for causes that supported marginalized communities and underprivileged children. Johnny's generosity and the way he used his influence for good left an indelible mark on me. His journey from being humiliated in a showroom to standing as a champion for fairness had proven something powerful. That real revenge is never about retaliation. It's about living your truth, standing up for what's right, and inspiring others to do the same. Johnny Depp's actions left a lasting impact on more than just the luxury car dealership. As time went on, his quiet revolution continued to grow, and I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of respect for the man I had once seen as just another Hollywood star. He had become a symbol of resilience, a man who didn't let fame cloud his sense of justice. And through his actions, he had ignited a spark in so many others. One afternoon, while scrolling through social media, I came across a post that caught my eye. It was from a young woman, a waitress at a small cafe in the heart of Los Angeles. She had been following the story of Johnny's battle with the dealership, and in her post, she shared how his courage had helped her find her voice. She had been treated poorly by a manager at work for months, constantly belittled and dismissed because of her appearance and background. But after hearing Johnny's story, she decided to stand up for herself. She walked into her boss's office, demanded respect, and left the job. Her story resonated deeply with me. It wasn't just a celebrity's victory. It was a victory for every person who had ever felt unseen, unworthy, or unimportant. Johnny, without ever intending to, had sparked a movement that transcended the headlines. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about empowerment. About creating a world where people could look each other in the eye and see equals, no matter their wealth, status, or background. I saw the ripple effect firsthand. At work, I began to notice small changes. My colleagues were standing up for themselves in ways they hadn't before. They were speaking out against injustice, confronting microaggressions, and demanding better treatment. It was like a collective awakening, a shift in how people viewed their own worth and the worth of others. And then one day, I was sitting in a cafe, sipping my coffee, when I saw it, a headline on my phone that left me speechless. The headline hit me like a bolt of lightning. Johnny Depp announces new foundation to fight discrimination in high-end retail spaces. My heart skipped a beat, and I found myself staring at the screen, unable to look away. It seemed almost too surreal to be true. Johnny wasn't done. He wasn't just walking away from the whole ordeal. No. He had taken his personal battle, a fight that had started with nothing more than a painful, humiliating experience at a luxury car dealership, and turned it into something much bigger, something that would change the lives of so many people. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone who had ever been judged, dismissed, or mistreated because of how they looked, how they dressed, or where they came from. Johnny's journey had come full circle. From being disrespected in that showroom, he had transformed his pain into a platform for change. His foundation would do more than just target the high-end retail world. It would reach into every industry, every space, to fight the deeply ingrained biases that kept so many of us from feeling valued, seen, or worthy of the treatment we deserved. I sat there, taking it all in. The more I read, the more my chest swelled with pride. Johnny wasn't just using his celebrity status to fix his own reputation. He was using it to create a movement, a call for equal treatment for every individual, no matter their background, no matter their appearance. His foundation would advocate for fairness, for kindness, and for respect. It wasn't about luxury cars or exclusive designer boutiques anymore. It was about the human spirit, about lifting each other up and showing the world that we all deserve the same dignity, the same rights. And it hit me. Johnny's journey, his pain, had sparked a wildfire of change. It wasn't about getting back at the dealership anymore. It was about something much more profound. What started as a quiet humiliation in that dealership had blossomed into a global movement that was already starting to ripple through the fabric of society. Johnny wasn't just healing himself, he was healing the world. And no one had seen it coming. Not even him, I think. As I sat there reflecting, a deep realization washed over me. Johnny's revenge, his sweet, sweet revenge, was never about causing harm. It wasn't about making the dealership pay for their wrongs. It was about something far more meaningful. Johnny had used the sting of his own mistreatment to fuel a fight for something greater. And in doing so, he had given people like me the courage to believe in our own worth. Before, I had been too afraid to stand up, too afraid to speak out when I was treated unfairly. But Johnny's strength, his refusal to let the world define him, had ignited something in me. And I realized for the first time that we don't need to be the loudest or the most powerful voices to make a difference. Sometimes, standing tall in the face of injustice, just like Johnny did, was the most powerful form of resistance. That was the most powerful lesson of all. Johnny had not only won the battle for himself, but he had inspired a revolution in each of us. His message was clear. We don't have to take what life throws at us. We have the power to fight back, to make the world a fairer place, and to demand the respect we deserve. And if Johnny Depp, one of the most famous people in the world, could do it, then maybe, just maybe, we all could too. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and found it as inspiring as I did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Like this video if you felt moved by Johnny's incredible journey, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts and if this story resonated with you. And please, share this with your friends and family so they can experience this powerful message too. Let's spread the word and keep the conversation going. Thanks for being part of this journey. See you in the next video.